let's talk about keeping one round in the chamber because there's a lot of videos about this. I'm just giving my take on it. There's a lot of people that believe you shouldn't carry around in the chamber. Some people believe you should carry one in the chamber. Okay, now obviously there's pros and cons to both of them, but in my opinion, um, I think you should carry one in the chamber. But I'm still gonna break down the pros and cons to each. Okay. Now, home defense is obviously different from carrying. Home defense, you have a little bit more time to react. You might there's situations where you might not even have time to react in a home defense situation, but in a home defense, generally you'll have a little bit more time to, you know, do things like this is my Glock 19 by the way. This is my home defense weapon. 147 grain Winchester ammunition in here. That's what I carry with. I mean, that's what I keep in there. But yeah, when it's around in the chamber, if you're in the home defense situation, you have time to grab it and throw around in there. Most of the time, sometimes you might not have time to do that. But if you're carrying a semi-auto outside the house, concealed carry, yeah, you want to keep one in the chamber. But let's talk about the pros. The pros to keeping one in the chamber. Well, the pros are if you get yourself in a situation outside, a bad guy, somebody trying to rob you, or you see somebody coming at you with a knife or even a handgun, and you're able to get it out. If you have one in the chamber, you don't have to worry about pulling the rack and the slide, putting the round in. That's critical time that you need to get your gun out and present it to the threat. Okay, you have to get it out in time and present it to the threat. You don't want to be fumbling with it. You don't want to have to do this, and that's one of the reasons why, as far as me, I don't like carrying guns with safeties, because if I draw it, there's a possibility that under stress I could flick the safety up, or what if it's already up and I forget to put it down, and then I pull the trigger and nothing happens. That critical time that you need to get a round off could be the deciding factor if your life is going to be saved or not. So I don't carry weapons with safeties attached to the slide. I don't like it. So you want to be able to get your shots off without having to worry about going through that extra step of racking around in the chamber. That's why you always carry one in the chamber. So what are the cons to carrying one in the chamber? Well, the con is if you're not experienced or you don't have certain motor skills, you can draw your weapon and boom, you pull it. When it's getting out the holster, you shoot yourself in the foot, or you shoot at the ground. And you're shooting at the ground, the threat is still coming at you while you're doing all this. Now you just pulled the trigger, now you're surprised, and then now they catch you off guard. Or the round can hit and ricochet, hit somebody else, and then that's a whole nother topic. But that's why that's the con to carrying one in the chamber. For the most part, if you're an experienced shooter, you've been around guns and stuff, it's almost like a no-brainer. It's almost like a skill you don't even think about when you're drawing your weapon. You always keep it on the side of the weapon. You always keep your gun here or your finger on the side of the trigger regardless. It's almost like when you're putting your hand to grab it, you always, you kind of like, you put your hand on the side of the holster. It's kind of like a motor skill that you learned. It's been ingrained in me for many years. So there's no way I'm going to draw my gun with my finger right here. It's not going to happen. Now, for new shooters, man, that's just getting into guns, that might be a consideration to have a gun with a safety on it for a little bit until you can learn how to operate and stop, and don't be afraid. Because a lot of times when it's new shooters, they might be afraid that the round is going to go off if one is in the chamber when they're pulling it or something like that. They're not used to that skill yet, that motor skill. So that might be something to consider if you're a new shooter, you're just getting into concealed carry, your first gun, maybe keeping one round. I still don't really feel comfortable with telling people to keep a round out the chamber. I recommend this. If you're a little worried about a accident or a negligent discharge, I'd say just get a gun with a safety and then learn how to flick it up or down. Some guns, the safety to fire it, you got to flick it up. Some guns, you flick it down. Learn that, but always keep one in there. But learn how when you're presenting it, when you're drawing it, just boom. Or make it a skill where you're drawing it and you just, or, you know, you're drawing it and it's easier with guns that when the safety is down, that means it's off. When the safety's up, that means fire. It's easier when you're pulling it and you're drawing it from your holster and you just boom. Versus guns where safe is up and then you got to fire it to go for it to, you got to press the safety down for the gun to be ready to fire. When you're pulling it out, that's very unnatural to pull it and then you got to sweep down. It's more natural to sweep up. That's what I've found over the years. But my recommendation, man, whether you're a new shooter or an older shooter or experienced shooter, always still carry one in the chamber. Now, it's best to carry guns without safety. There's a lot of stuff that could go wrong in the wrong situations. But if you're not comfortable with carrying one in the chamber, still do it, man. Still do it. I'm telling you, you're not gonna have the time to do all of this stuff when something bad is happening. That split second can cost you your life. And if you are worried about that, worried about shooting yourself or the gun going off, most of these modern guns today, they're not going to just go off by themselves. You're going to have to pull the trigger, especially with Glocks. I seen videos, you can run these over with a truck, you can throw them. It's not going to go off unless you pull this trigger. Doesn't matter. It's not going to just shoot by itself. Now, there have been guns in the past that had these issues where the firing pin, there was something going on with the firing pin, and then it would be really weak, and the gun will fire if you pull it out wrong. But if you just any little bang or something, you bang it against something, and it'll go off. But for the most part, man, you got to pull the trigger for it to go off. Period. So don't be too worried about that. But like I said, if you are a new shooter, always still carry one in the chamber. Always. And if you feel uncomfortable, get a gun at first, at least, until you get familiar with firearms. Get a gun with a safety on it. This gun, for instance, this is a Taurus Model TH40. This is a Chamberlain 40 cal. Now, this is one of those guns I was talking about. It has a safety attached to the sliding frame. I would not carry a gun like that. Now, this is what I was talking about. Now, you see right here, you see that red dot? That means that's fire, okay? It means it's ready to go. But when the safety is covering it, it's in safe, okay? When the manual safety is covering it, that means you can't fire it, okay? Push down, it's fire. So this is one of those guns that is concealed carry friendly, because let's say it's up, it's in fire mode, you carrying it like in safe mode like this, because you're a new shooter, you're worried about it going off. So you pull your weapon out your holster, something bad is going on. You already have a round in the chamber, right? So you pull it, you just got to always remember to do this, sweep down. No, this actually is one of the guns I'm talking about. I don't like, you have to sweep it up to fire it. See what I mean? That's not natural. But if it's some guns, the safety lever, that red dot would be here on some other guns. So all you have to do is present it and boom, see? So this is one of them things, man. This is one of them things I don't like, but it's like almost backwards almost. Now, if you are another shooter, a new shooter, and you are worried about the gun going off, another option is a revolver. I don't recommend this for primary carry. I recommend revolvers for like backup or something, backup or deep carry, backup carry, because the round capacity is limited to 5. It's reliable though, but you don't have to worry about pulling the slide back to rack one in the chamber. Your gun is always ready to fire once it's bullets in it, once it's ammunition in the cylinder. Okay, so a lot of people feel comfortable carrying revolvers. It's nothing wrong with them. It's just, I said, it's if you get into something, this is your only gun. You get into something, you got to fumble around and drop rounds in the chamber, and it's time consuming. So I don't really recommend revolvers for primary carry, but that's an option. It's a safer option if you are worried about a gun like the Glock not having a safety mechanism right here, okay? Or you can find a weapon with a safety like this, that you have to manipulate. This one doesn't have ambidextrous guns. It doesn't have ambidextrous safety. It only has pretty much, you can operate it. This is right hand friendly, this gun. But if you're lefty, you can't do anything. So you have to take your shooting hand off the gun. See look how awkward that is. So that's something else to consider too. Okay, so if you feel uncomfortable, find a gun like this with a safety. My recommendation: find one where the safety is off when you push it down versus safety is off when you push it up. I just explained why. Just my thing. Hope you enjoyed the video, man. So to sum it up, always keep a round in the chamber. Always. Your life could depend on it. This is your boy Rebel Shooter. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. Catch y'all in the next one. Please like and subscribe. And I'm out. Peace.